All right, guys, so let's try this again. We're going to talk about the metabolic specificity of training. Metabolic specificity of training, what is that? So essentially, we're designing training to meet the metabolic demands of the specific sport. So few sports do truly require maximal sustained effort to exhaustion. Most sports have metabolic profiles consistent with high intensity or near constant effort. Exercise bouts with intermittent rest periods. Examples of that would be football, soccer, basketball, quarters, halves, timeouts, rest breaks, etc. Interval training. What is interval training? A method that emphasizes bioenergetic adaptations for a more efficient energy transfer within the metabolic pathways. Um, Using a predetermined work to rest ratio. And what is that ratio? It's an interval of exercise followed by periods of rest. Properly spaced work to rest intervals allow more work to be completed at higher intensities with less fatigue during continuous training. An example of a better work to rest ratio is 2 to 1, maybe 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. This has been shown to allow more work to be done in a given exercise bout with less fatigue overall. Metabolic adaptations from interval training include improvements in muscle oxidative potential, muscle buffering capacity, muscle glycogen content, time trial performance, and a doubling of aerobic endurance capacity. Again, that 2 to 1 work to rest ratio has been shown to elicit higher metabolic values in the form of VO2 max and lactate concentration. Short duration, higher intensity exercise requires greater work to rest ratios due to the aerobic mechanisms that replete phosphagen stores. Long duration, lower intensity tasks allow for longer rest periods and decrease the work to rest ratios. Excuse me. This table here, directly from the book, shows the different work to rest ratios that we would want for specific training adaptations. Again, so we're thinking exercise time longer than 3 minutes, a 1 to 1, 1 minute on, 1 minute off, or 1 minute on, 3 minutes off for that oxidative 20 to 30% of maximum power. Um, Sitting in that zone. So maybe your longer distance cardiovascular exercises, etc. And as we crawl up the percentage of power, maximum power, 90 to 100% using primarily the phosphagen system, 5 to 10-second bursts of exercise typically. But what would that 1 to 12 work to rest ratio? So maybe that's 10 seconds on, 120 seconds off, or 200 seconds off, again allowing more work at that high peak of maximum power, that 90 to 100% specifically. High intensity interval training involves brief repeated bouts of high intensity exercise with intermittent rest periods, and the design is to spend as much time at or above 90% of VO2 max. And it also allows adequate stimulus for muscle fiber adaptation and myocardial hypertrophy. HIT can also improve VO2 max, proton buffering, glycogen content, anaerobic thresholds, time to exhaustion, and time trial performance. Combination training, also known as cross training. This is simply the combination of anaerobic and aerobic training. The idea is that this helps enhance recovery, as aerobic metabolism is the primary mechanism of recovery specifically. And again, when we're looking at athletes trying to implement, for anaerobic weightlifters, improving aerobic cardiovascular performance for recovery and vice versa. For your long-term endurance athletes, they get benefits from that anaerobic exercise. It should be noted, though, that the combination of both aerobic and anaerobic training may negatively impact anaerobic performance and reduce muscle growth. So what does this mean? We might not want to send our competitive weightlifter out for a long distance run on the day of um, oh, an event, or vice versa, right? We wouldn't want the marathon runner to go lift weights the day of, or maybe even the day before the event to, we want adequate performance, right? So the research is conflicting. However, generally speaking, implementing some aerobic for anaerobic athletes, and some anaerobic exercise for aerobic athletes is beneficial. And again, that anaerobic exercise being added to endurance performance athletes, aerobic, it improves their performance. In summary, training modality should and can be adjusted to meet the demands of the specific athlete that we may be working with. This allows us to receive these specific benefits that will aid the athlete in their endeavors. If it's a soccer player, for example, we're looking at high intensity interval training in the form of a shuttle run or suicide. This provides benefits to both aerobic and anaerobic systems. Again, and it's sport specific. We could also add a ball to that activity. Again, getting those extremely specific adaptations for that specific athlete. And similarly, adding for endurance athletes a more aerobic based activity. And of course, the references. Thank you.